can say whatever you want.
I'll call you Vivi, okay?
Okay.
All right, so Vivi, so how this goes is what we do is I will narrate to you guys, to usually what I do in my classes, I narrate to the students how they should formulate their answer related to the point we're discussing. They write it down. It's very important that you write along with me because I'm going slow, gives your brain an idea to really understand the information. Then I give them about 10 minutes to revise it on their own. Then after that, I let them narrate the answer that they just studied with me to me so that I can rate it, and then they leave the class with 1 or 2 oral issues memorized, okay? So that they don't have to worry about it when they go home. They can start studying for something else.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right. So you guys see this for sure. And let me just get this out. Just give me a second before we start. Okay. Okay, so the ribs and the sternum, it's actually your third point of the oral. If you look at the orals list, wherever your notes can permit you, you can write along as I say things, and of course I'll point at the simulation for you guys to see. Okay. Just generally, the ribs, we're going to start with the ribs. So just write ribs. Okay. The ribs are flat bones. Of course, you need to, for when you start speaking about any bone in the structure of the human body, you have to start by describing what type of bone it is. So the ribs are flat bones. Okay. That's number 1 point about the ribs. They form a major part of the thoracic cage. They form a major part of the thoracic cage. Thoracic cage. The ribs articulate. So now we know what type of bone, where are they? So what they do. So they articulate anteriorly with the sternum by costal cartilage. Anteriorly, they articulate with the sternum by costal cartilage. And they articulate posteriorly with the thoracic vertebra. With the thoracic vertebra. Okay, again, so now you guys see the simulation?
Yes. Yes.
It's very slow. Maybe my computer is loading a lot of things, but I hope you can see it. Here in the anterior view, you can see that the ribs are articulating with the sternum, but the bones do not articulate here directly to bones. Okay, so that's why they articulate anteriorly with the sternum by their costal cartilages. Here, see, costal cartilages. This is not bones. These are cartilages. These are connective tissues. Okay. Costal cartilages. And posteriorly, the ribs go to articulate posteriorly with what? With the vertebral column. Okay. They articulate posteriorly with vertebral column. Again, First thing, vertebras. The ribs are flat bones. They form the thoracic cage, the wall of the thoracic cage. Anteriorly, they articulate with the sternum using the costal cartilages. And posteriorly, they articulate with the vertebral column. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the next point, how many ribs do we have? Who can answer? It's okay, we have 12 pairs of ribs, so there are 24 in total. We have 12 pairs of ribs and 24 in total, okay? Now, how are they divided? They're these 12 or 12 pairs of ribs, they're divided into groups. And it's very important for us to know those groups. And those groups are two. The ribs, or the 12 pairs of ribs, are divided into two groups. The true ribs and the false ribs. Okay? True ribs and false ribs. The true ribs and the false ribs. Okay? The true ribs, which ones are the true ribs? To refer to ribs, we use numbers, right? So ribs are 12 pairs, so 1 to 12. Yes? The true ribs are ribs 1 to 7. They are ribs from 1 to 7. Our ribs from 1 to 7 are true ribs, okay? The true ribs, why are they called true ribs? Why are they called false and true ribs? I'll show you. Now we go back to the simulation, okay? We see that we said 1 to 7 are true ribs. Is this a rib, girls? Here?
Clavicle.
Clavicle. So the first rib starts here. That's rib number 1, first rib. True ribs are the ribs. The definition of a true rib is a rib that articulates with its costal cartilage directly to the sternum. So these true ribs are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. They articulate directly with the sternum through the costal cartilage. 1 to 7 are true. And this is the definition of a true rib. Now, what is a false rib? A false rib, and they're numbered 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, these are false ribs. 11 and 12.
Oh.
Tell me. Go ahead.
What was it? False rib again?
Yeah. Yes. So a false rib, let's just name, you know what? Let's say false ribs are 8 to 10. And I'll tell you what they mean.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they are true ribs. And they articulate directly with the sternum by their costal cartilage. 8, 9, 10, they are false ribs. What is a false rib? A false rib is a rib that does not articulate with the sternum directly. No, that does not articulate with the sternum directly. Okay? So what do they articulate with? We say through their costal cartilage, they articulate with the costal cartilage of the above rib. For example, 8, we see, and we follow it here, does not go directly and stick to the sternum. No. It articulates with rib number 7 through its own costal cartilage. Deal? So 8 articulates with 7. 9 articulates with 8. 10 articulates with 9. And they articulate with the above rib through costal cartilage. And they do not articulate with the sternum. Okay? That's why they're called false ribs. So again, false ribs are 8, 9, 10. They are called false ribs because they do not articulate directly with the sternum, and they articulate with the rib above them by the costal cartilage. How? Costal cartilage of rib number 8 articulates with costal cartilage of rib number 7. Costal cartilage of rib number 9 articulate with costal cartilage of rib number 8. And costal cartilage of rib number 10 articulate with costal cartilage of rib number 9. And these are our false ribs. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Finally, rib number 11 and rib number 12, they are called floating ribs. Why? Why are they called floating ribs? Because anteriorly, they do not have any articulation with the sternum or the ribs or anything. They are just floating. So the only articulation for the floating ribs is on the vertebra. And they're floating. If you see here, number 11 and 12 only articulate posteriorly with the vertebra. When they go front, they're floating. So 11, 12 are floating ribs. Okay? See, 11th rib, 12th rib. They are floating ribs, no articulation anteriorly. They're floating. Okay?
By the way,
Yeah.
the head of the rib articulates with the vertebra or with sternum?
Good question. That's the head of the rib articulates with the vertebra.
Mm-hmm.
And the sternal end of the rib articulates with costal cartilages that then articulate with the sternum.
Mm-hmm.
Deal?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, your comment is now going to be our next point. Okay. Typical ribs. What are typical ribs? Typical ribs are the ribs that have very distinct features. If you look at it, you're like, this rib has this, and this on it, so it's a typical rib. What are those features that we need to know? And you see, girls, we start in the beginning. We start and say some general features about the ribs. What do they articulate with posteriorly and anteriorly? And then we dive into, let's say, the types of ribs, true and false and floating. Now we're going to tell Siriski the features of the rib. What are they? Okay. The features of the rib, you have head, neck, tubercle, shaft. A typical rib.
Do we have to tell them where they are?
Yes.
Or just say they have that?
You can now just we have to tell them where they are and what happens and what joints are involved with them and stuff like that. So I got you, don't worry. So you have head, tubercle, shaft. Okay?
Yes.
Now for the head, what happens at the head? We will say the head has two articular surfaces. The head has two articular surfaces, and concentrate with me because now when we get to the specifics of every part of the rib, especially the head, is going to be maybe a little bit confusing, but I got you. I will show you on the simulation exactly what I'm talking about. So the head, now the first point about the rib, we're going to talk a little bit about the head. The head has two articular surfaces, inferior and superior. The head has two articular surfaces, superior and inferior, or inferior and superior, okay? Now, what do those surfaces articulate with? The superior one of the head of the rib articulates with the vertebra above. articulates with the vertebra above. The inferior articular surface articulates with its own vertebra. What does it mean? Or we can say inferior surface articulates with the same number of rib. So for example, rib number 7, okay, rib number 7, it goes back. The head of rib number 7 has 2 articular surfaces. The rib number 7 on its inferior articular surface articulates with vertebra number 7. What about the superior articular surface on the head? It articulates with vertebra number 6. Do you get what I mean? I will explain. Here, we go here. Now, what rib is this? It says to us on the simulation, 8th rib, number 8th rib, okay? And just to put in your mind, and this is a question for you guys, what part of the vertebra is this? Is it cervical, thoracic, or lumbar?
Thoracic.
Thoracic. So now we have labeled numbers of the thoracic vertebrae, which is good for us. Okay, so now look, 8. I'm gonna remove these motherfuckers. Sorry for swearing. Boom. Now, look. This is rib number 8, yes? And which is this? Look, thoracic vertebra number 8. Which is this? Number 7. Why is this important? When we look at this and isolate it, hide the others, look. And let us get the surfaces out. Boom. Or parts, let's see. Here. Okay, never mind, but I think you get it. But let's see if I can get it here. Just give me a second. Okay, what did we say? We say that the head has a superior and an inferior articular surface, right? Superior and inferior. The inferior articulates with rib number 8, with vertebra body number 8, and the superior articulates with 7. Let's go back. So let's imagine that this is articular surface inferior and this is articular surface superior. The superior will articulate with the above vertebra. The inferior will articulate with the same number of the rib. Okay. Let's not hide others. I hope we can. There. Get it back. You see what I'm talking about? Here. There we go. Now, this is rib number 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is vertebra number 8. This is vertebra number 7. So now we know that the inferior articular surface of the head of rib articulates with the same number of rib. The vertebra which has the same number of rib, T8, rib 8. Okay? Superior surface, articular surface of the head of rib, articulates with the rib above, T7. This point clear or no? Questions?
It's clear.
Dio, alhamdulillah, perfect. All right. Now there's one more part. Now we know head has 2 articular surfaces, inferior, superior. And what's between the inferior and the superior? We have a crest. It's the crest. What does the crest articulate with? Now I'm going to add the tissues. Just give me a second. You guys covered it a lot. I didn't want it like that, but you would get it. Imagine, just look at this space. We have superior articulating with the above vertebra and inferior articulate with the same number, and the crest between them, the crest of the head of rib between the superior articular surface and inferior articular surface articulates with the vertebral disc, the intervertebral disc. It's not very clear here, but you get the idea. You get what I mean. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Deal. That's the head of rib. We're done with the head of rib. Okay. Now, let's go back and isolate the rib. Not hide. Let's hide others. Yes. Isolate it. Becomes better for us. That's the rib. Parts. We have head, neck, tubercle, and shaft, right? Now we finished the head. We talked about inferior, superior, and the crest of the head. Done. And we know what they articulate with. The neck. Easy. Just we're gonna say separates head from tubercle. That's it. Separates head from tubercle. Okay, separates the head from the tubercle. Now, the tubercle has two parts. Tubercle here, it has two parts. I hope we can get it. Okay, they're not doing a great job on there, but it's okay. The tubercle has two parts. It has an articular surface and a non-articular surface. The tubercle has an articular surface and a non-articular surface. Okay. The articular surface articulates with the transverse process of the vertebral column or the vertebra. So I show you here. Let's see if we can get it. There we go. You see here. You see where the head is? The head is here. It's articulating with the bodies, right? Rib number 8, right here. Rib number 8. Inferior articular surface of the head articulates with the body. Superior articular surface of the rib articulates with the vertebral body above. This one, vertebral body, same number. So rib number 8, vertebra number 8, vertebra number 7. And now we finished head, we finished neck. We're talking about tubercle. It has both articular surface and non-articular surface. The articular surface articulates with what? The transverse process of the vertebra. And to be more specific, the same number. Okay, here. Deal?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the non-articular surface is an attachment for a ligament. The non-articular surface is an attachment for the ligament. What is this ligament called? Costotransverse ligament. It's called the costotransverse ligament. And this is what I'm talking about. I hope it's shown. There we go. Costotransverse ligament. Okay, costotransverse ligament. Costotransverse ligament. Why is it called costotransverse? It's easy. Costo is a term to describe the ribs. Costo, ribs. Transverse, why is transverse there? Because I said it has something to do with the transverse process. Now, be careful when you are imagining things. This is the ligament. We're talking about the tubercle, the non-articular part of the tubercle. The non-articular part of the tubercle attaches a ligament, as we said. It's called the costotransverse ligament. So where does it go? Yes, we know it goes from the rib to the transverse process. The costotransverse ligament travels from our rib at rib number 8 to the transverse process above. So vertebra number 7. Okay, so many details, but if you do it like this, you will understand. And this is important. That's why the simulation is here to help us see things. Remove the connective tissue. Here, see? Rib 8, body 8, rib 8, superior, body 7. Then you have neck, then you have tubercle. Articular surface, non-articular surface. Articular surface with the transverse process of the same number of rib, and then the non-articular surface of the tubercle goes away from home, connects the non-articular surface of rib number 8 to vertebra number 7, transverse process, as we see here. Okay. All right. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Is it hard?
Actually not. You explained very well.
Okay, good. All right. Shaft. Now, the last part of the rib is the shaft. We talked about the head. We talked about the neck. We talked about the tubercle. And now we have the shaft. The shaft, what does it do? Travels anteriorly. Now, students, and Serisky did this to me. Please be careful. When he says the ribs articulate with the sternum, they're all like, yes. And then he shouts. And then he tells you, you fucking failed. Get the fuck out of here. Yes, you failed. Why? Why did you fail? Because it does not articulate with the sternum. It articulates with the costal cartilages. And then the costal cartilages of the ribs articulate with the sternum. So we have to know. And let you even more annoyed by the amount of information I'm giving you, but it's good. Look, shaft, right, anteriorly, it articulates with the costal cartilage. And so he also wants you to know the fucking name of this joint and the name of this joint. What's this name? What's this joint name? Costochondral joint. Costochondral joint. So to be clever, we know that yes, risky, they move forward, but they do not articulate directly with the sternum. They articulate with costal, the costal cartilage through a joint called costochondral joint. And then the costal cartilage articulates with the sternum through the, let me remember, 1 second. I think costosternal joint or chondrosternal joint. Let me just check. But you get it. Let me just check the names. Joints between the costal cartilage and the sternum. Sterno, yes. It's called the sternocostal joint. Sternocostal joint. Okay, we didn't give so much importance to this cartilage Right now, we're naming this joint. Just remember the sternum. When we talk about the joint between the rib, the costal cartilage and the sternum, we just say sternocostal joint. That's it. And now here, costochondral joint. Okay? Costochondral joint. And that's
There's something
yeah, tell me.
to remember joints, like they're connecting. It's easy. The names are always what they're connecting, but how do I know which word is the first? You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
The first one was costal cartilage. You know.
Yes, I understand. I think you know, it all comes, like most of the joint, it comes with practice. That's what I would say. But your brain would just get used to it. Trust me. Like the more you look at it, the more you memorize, the more you do it. Like you just know now. Like for I didn't have to remember chondrocostal. Okay, I just said costochondral, and because it's like that, and then sternocostal joint. You know, it's just practice. So don't worry, it comes.
Okay.
In the beginning, it's very annoying, but like I promise, you guys will be good with it. It just needs practice. Okay. Okay, so now ribs are done. We're done with the ribs.
So what are the most important things? Like, because Tomakawa said that we should just start with the best information. So Zelinsky can't be mean or stuff, because if we start with details, he's going more into detail because he thinks you know it.
Yes, and that's what I told you.
What is the most important?
I got you. So always when you are answering Zelinsky, please start like I gave you. Look what we did. We did first just ran like very, very general ideas. Flat bone, major part of the thoracic, articulates anteriorly with thoracic, posteriorly with thoracic vertebra, articulates anteriorly with the sternum. Now he knows you have so much info now. Good. You're giving him some general information. Now you go dive into how many ribs are there? 12 of them. 12 pairs. How many ribs? 24. Okay, these 24, you can dive into their types. We talked about true and false. And you now dive into true and false. What are true? Why are they true? What are false? Why are they false? What are floating? Why are they okay? And now here
so exactly how we did it now.
Yes, exactly.
Don't. And he stops me, right? When I have minutes enough, he's going to stop me.
Yes, he will not give you. He will not have the time to listen to everyone's answers completely.
Yeah.
And then if he's still quiet, look, now you get into a typical rib. What's a typical rib made up of? You talk about head, neck, tubercle, shaft. And now he's like, okay, she knows so much. Now we can start by saying the head is made up of 2 articular surfaces. Here, he will be bored, done. He knows you know a lot. Okay? So this is the ribs. Now we just have the sternum left, and it's very, very quick. Okay? All right, the sternum. And I have less than a minute on my session. We will continue. If it cuts, we'll continue the sternum in the second part. I will need you guys to read it once, and both of you would narrate it to me, and then I will let you go. Okay? Okay. Sternum. And if it cuts, I will continue where it cuts.
Okay.
It's an unpaired flat bone. Unpaired flat bone.